The meeting in the ruins, the battlefield, was silent now, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of ashes, broken walls, and shattered machines. The kind of silence that carried heavy memories. David walked slowly through the ruins, his boots crunching against burned stones and twisted metal. He was far from Earth, far from his people, a human explorer wandering a place that once belonged to another race. He held a small light in his hand, its beam cutting through the dust and smoke that still floated in the air. The war between the alien factions had ended days ago, but the ground was still hot, the wounds of battle still fresh. As David stepped over a broken pillar, he heard it, a faint sound. Soft trembling. It was not wind. It was not falling stone. It was the sound of someone crying. His heart jumped. He raised his light, moving carefully. The ruins were dangerous. Shadows could hide traps or wild creatures. But this sound was different, fragile, human-like. He followed it, down into a half-collapsed hall. There, under fallen beams and cracked stone, he saw her. She was curled up against the wall, her body thin and shaking. Her skin carried strange glowing marks, scars that pulsed faintly like fire trapped under glass. Her hair was tangled, her clothes torn, her eyes wide and filled with fear. For a moment David froze. She did not look human. She looked like something made in secret labs, something born to fight and destroy. Her claws scratched the floor when she tried to push herself back, but then she whispered, her voice weak. "Please, don't come closer. I am a monster." The words cut through David's chest. He lowered his light, showing his hands empty. No weapon, only calm. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "I heard you crying." Her eyes narrowed. Her voice cracked. "Don't call me beautiful, human. I am not. I am a monster." David stepped closer, slow as if approaching a wounded bird, his face calm, his lips curved in a small smile. "Then let me sit with the monster, because no one should cry alone." She blinked, confused. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. She was used to fear, used to screams, used to soldiers pointing guns, not to a human offering kindness. Her name, as he would soon learn, was Lyra, but now she only looked at him with suspicion. Her claws trembling, the glowing scars along her arms flickered, as if ready to burst with energy. "Why are you smiling?" she asked, her voice almost angry. "Do you not see what I am? Do you not fear what I can do?" David's smile did not fade, his eyes steady. "I see someone hurt. I see someone left behind. That's all." The ruins groaned above them, dust falling from the cracked ceiling. Lyra flinched, clutching her knees. David moved quickly, lifting a heavy beam that had leaned close to crushing her. The effort strained his arms, but he pushed it aside. Why would you help me?" she asked again, her words shaking. "Because I can," he answered simply. "Because maybe that's what makes us human. To help even when others see a monster." Lyra stared at him, her heart beating fast. She had been told since her creation that she was nothing but a weapon, an accident, a mistake. She had been hunted, called dangerous, called ugly, called less than alive. But this human looked at her as if she was more. David pulled a small container from his bag. Water inside. He held it out to her. She hesitated. Her claws scratched the ground, but the thirst burned inside her. She reached slowly. Their fingers brushed as she took it. She drank, the water sliding down her dry throat, and for the first time in a long time, she felt something warm. Hope. Silence fell again, but it was no longer heavy. It was fragile, like the first spark in cold darkness. Then a sound echoed in the distance, heavy boots, voices speaking in a language David did not know. Lyra's eyes widened, panic filling her. "They are coming," she whispered. "They will kill you for helping me." David tightened his grip on his light, his face calm. "Then let them try," he said, his voice steady. Lyra shook her head, tears burning her eyes. "You don't understand. They don't stop. They call us monsters. They will destroy us both." But David only smiled again, the same gentle smile that confused her heart. "Then we will face them together." In that moment, in the ruins of a dead city, under the shadow of soldiers hunting in the dark, a bond was born, fragile yet powerful. And though Lyra still whispered, "Don't call me beautiful, human. I'm a monster," his smile told her a truth she had never dared to believe. Maybe she was something more. The secret of her scars. The night grew darker over the ruins, the sky filled with smoke and broken stars. Distant thunder rolled, though there was no storm, only the heavy steps of soldiers searching. David and Lyra crouched in the shadows of a collapsed hall, her breathing fast, her glowing scars flickering brighter every time fear surged through her body. David whispered, "Stay calm, they won't find us here," his voice steady, though he could hear the echo of armored boots not far away. Lyra's eyes locked on him. sharp and glowing faintly like molten fire. You don't understand, human. They are not here for ruins, they are here for me. I am what they call an escaped weapon. She pulled her torn sleeve back, revealing scars that were not natural. Long lines that shimmered with faint light. As if fire lived under her skin, David stared. Not with fear, but with curiosity. What did they do to you? He asked softly. Her voice cracked, trembling. They made me, not born, not like you. I was built in labs. Raised in cages, trained to fight, to kill. Every scar is their reminder. Every glow is their chain. Her words cut like knives in the silence. The ruins seemed to listen. David felt a chill, but he kept his eyes gentle. And do you believe them? Lyra turned her face away, tears falling. I am a monster. I cannot change what I am. For a moment the silence grew heavy again. The soldiers' voices echoed closer. David placed a hand on the broken stone near her, not touching but close enough for her to feel his warmth. Then let me tell you something, monsters do not cry like you do. Monsters do not beg others to stay away to protect them. You are not a monster. Lyra! Her head snapped back toward him, shock in her eyes. He had spoken her name, though she never told him, she whispered. How do you know my name? David gave a small smile. Because when I look at you, I don't see scars first. I see someone, and she has a name. It is written in her eyes, not in her wounds. Her lips trembled, confusion mixed with fear. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. But before she could answer, the ruins shook, heavy blasts from outside, the soldiers firing warning shots into the rubble. Dust rained down. She gasped, holding her head. Her scars flared, glowing brighter. The air hummed with strange energy. David stepped closer. What is happening? Lyra's voice cracked. It's me, I cannot control it. When I panic, the power leaks, the weapon inside me wakes. The ground trembled, small cracks spreading across the floor, light seeping out like liquid fire. David grabbed her shoulders, his grip firm yet steady. Look at me, don't listen to them, don't listen to your fear. Look at me. Her glowing eyes met his. For a moment the chaos slowed. Her breathing steadied. The cracks dimmed, but the soldiers had heard the noise, their voices grew louder. Closer. They will kill you, Lyra said again, tears shining. You don't have to die for me. David's face hardened. Not with anger, but with unshakable resolve. Maybe I don't have to, maybe I choose to. Maybe that is the difference between humans and those soldiers. We choose to fight for someone, not against them. The words struck her deeper than the scars ever had. She had been told all her life she was a weapon, nothing more. But this human looked at her as someone worth fighting for. Suddenly a beam of light swept across the ruins, landing dangerously close to their hiding place. Lyra gasped. David pulled her down. Silence. Only their breathing. The soldiers shouted commands. Heavy machines moved. The sound of metal crushing stone filled the night. They were sweeping the ruins piece by piece. No hiding place would last long. Lyra whispered in despair. They will catch us. They always do. David leaned close, whispering back. Then we will run before they close in. I know paths they don't. You can't outrun them, she said, shaking her head, her claws scratching stone. I've seen them cut down entire villages. Then maybe you've never run with a human before, David replied, his smile returning even in the dark. His eyes calm but burning with defiance for the first time. Lyra felt something strange in her chest. Stronger than fear, it was trust, fragile but real. The soldiers' lights drew nearer, their shadows crawling like monsters across the walls. David whispered, When I count to 3, we move. Stay with me. Her scars pulsed again, the glow spreading up her neck. She was terrified. Yet when she looked at his smile, she nodded. 1, he said. The boots thundered closer. 2. Her hands shook, the light nearly blinding. 3. David pulled her hand and they burst into the open. Running through the ruins, the night exploding with shouts and gunfire. As the chase began, Lyra realized something. For the first time in her life, someone did not see her as a monster to be caught, or a weapon to be used. Someone saw her as worth saving. And that thought gave her strength. Hunted by shadows, the ruins shook with every step of the hunters, their boots pounding like drums of war. The night air burned with searchlights cutting through smoke, each beam searching for prey. David pulled Lyra through the broken streets, his grip firm, his steps fast but careful. He knew one wrong turn could mean death. Lyra's breath came quick, her glowing scars flashing with every beat of her heart. Behind them, voices shouted. Metal claws of machines dragged across stone. The hunters were not men. Not fully. They were armored soldiers bred only for pursuit. their masks glowing with red eyes that never blinked. Lyra stumbled, nearly falling. David caught her, steadying her before she hit the ground. "Keep moving," he whispered, his tone sharp yet kind. "We can lose them." "No," she gasped, tears in her voice. "You don't understand. They always find me. No one escapes." David looked at her. Even while running, his eyes filled with steel. "Then tonight we change that." They turned a corner. Slipping into a broken hall, the walls cracked. The ceiling opened to the night sky. David guided her toward a collapsed staircase, half buried, leading down into darkness. "Down here," he said, pulling her. Lyra hesitated, her scars glowing brighter. "No, below is worse. Below is where they made us." The words made David freeze for a moment, but the hunter's shadows stretched across the walls. "No time left." "Then we'll face it together," he said firmly. Pulling her down into the black, the air was cold and damp. Filled with the stench of old machines, the tunnel stretched far, echoes of the past whispering in every corner. Lyra trembled, her claws scratching the stone. "This is where I was born," she whispered, voice hollow. "Not in sunlight, not in safety, but here, in cages, in pain. They carved the weapon into me piece by piece," her words cut deep. David slowed, looking around, broken glass, rusted metal beds. Old restraints still bolted to the walls. "Ghosts of suffering clung to this place," he whispered. "No one deserves this." Her tears fell, glowing faintly under her scars. "This is why I told you I am a monster. I was made for nothing else." Before David could answer, the tunnel shook. The hunters had entered above, their heavy machines breaking stone, their voices echoing down the dark path. Panic filled Lyra. Her scars flared bright, energy crackled around her, the air itself buzzing. David felt the heat, saw the fear in her eyes. "Run," she whispered, shaking. "Before I lose control, before I hurt you." David stepped closer, his voice steady even as the tunnel shook. "I'm not leaving, I told you before. Monsters don't cry, and you cry because you care. That means you're not what they made you." His words froze her, her power flickered, still dangerous but trembling between breaking free and being held back. But the hunters had found the entrance. Beams of red light cutting into the dark. Their machines screeched, claws sparking against the stone, their shadows long and terrifying. "They're here," Lyra whispered, terror rising. David pulled a small metal rod from his pack. Not much of a weapon, but he stood tall, his face calm. "Then let them come. We'll show them what happens when they chase too far." The hunter's steps grew louder. One shouted a command. The air filled with the hiss of energy weapons charging. Suddenly the tunnel lit with red beams, blasts of fire striking the walls. David pulled Lyra behind a column. Stone exploded around them, dust choking the air. Lyra covered her ears, screaming. Her scars blazing so bright the tunnel glowed like fire. David grabbed her hand. "Focus on me, not them, Lyra. Look at me." She opened her eyes, filled with tears, her body shaking. "I can't. I'll destroy everything. I'll destroy you." But David only smiled, his voice calm even in chaos. "Then destroy the shadows, not yourself." Her breath hitched, her power surged, and for the first time, instead of collapsing into fear, she pushed her hands forward. A wave of energy burst through the tunnel. The hunters staggered, their machines screeching, walls cracking under the force. David shielded her, the storm of light burning past. When it faded, smoke filled the air. Several hunters crushed under fallen stone, others retreating back up the tunnel. Silence broken only by Lyra's sobs. She fell to her knees, shaking. "I told you, I am dangerous." David knelt beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Dangerous doesn't mean monster. Dangerous means powerful. And you just saved us both." Her eyes searched his, lost but clinging to hope. "But they'll come back." David's smile was small, tired but strong. "Then we'll be ready above them." The sound of the hunters regrouping filled the ruins. More shadows waiting, more battles ahead. But in the dark of the tunnels, with her scar still glowing and his smile still steady, something stronger than fear began to grow between them. The test of trust. The tunnels groaned under the weight of the hunters above. Stone cracked. Dust rained down like gray snow. The air smelled of smoke and blood. David led Lyra deeper into the underground maze, his lantern flickering, every step echoing like a warning. Lyra's glowing scars lit the walls with strange fire, her fear leaking through her skin. "They are regrouping," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "They never stop. They will bring more machines, stronger ones. I've seen them tear entire caverns apart." David's grip on her hand tightened, steady and sure. "Then we find a place they cannot reach. And if they come, we fight." She shook her head, her claws scraping stone. "You don't understand. I cannot fight without losing control. The more I use this power, the more I become what they made me. David stopped, turning to face her, his eyes sharp even in the dim light. And yet you held back, you saved me, you saved yourself. If you were only a monster, we wouldn't be standing here. Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe him. But the echo of her past screamed louder. Cage's pain, voices calling her weapon. Monster mistake. They reached a vast chamber. Broken machines scattered across the floor. Once a laboratory, now a grave. Broken tubes stood like glass coffins, empty but stained with the memory of experiments. Lyra froze, staring at one shattered tube. She whispered, "This was mine. This is where I woke for the first time." David's chest tightened. He looked at the cold glass, at the straps still bolted to the walls. He imagined her small, trapped, frightened, and alone, he whispered, "No one should begin life in chains." But before she could answer, a sudden blast shook the chamber. A section of the wall collapsed. Red lights pierced through the dust. The hunters had found them. Their leader stepped forward, armored, tall, his mask glowing with twin crimson eyes, his voice cold. "Return the subject, human. Step aside. Or be erased." David moved in front of Lyra. No weapon in his hand, only defiance. "She's not a subject. She's not your weapon." The leader raised his blade. A long, burning spear of energy, his voice harsh. "She is property. And property returns or dies," Lyra gasped. Power sparking uncontrollably across her scars. Fear surging, she clutched her head. "David, move. If I fight them, I will destroy everything." He turned, his voice calm, firm. "Then trust me. Trust that you are more than what they made you." Her eyes widened, his words cutting through the chaos. Trust. A word she had never known. The hunters advanced, weapons drawn. The chamber filled with red light. David stepped closer to Lyra, resting his hand on her shoulder, his touch steady. "Don't look at them, look at me." Her breath caught, her power rising like a storm. Cracks spread across the ground. Glowing with energy, she trembled, whispering, "I don't want to hurt you." David's voice was quiet, yet stronger than all the shouting soldiers. "Then don't hurt me. Fight for me." The words broke something inside her, the chains of her fear, the walls of her doubt. For the first time, she did not see her power as curse, but as shield. She raised her hands, light bursting outward. The hunters staggered, machines shrieked. The chamber shook like an earthquake, stone crumbling. The leader roared, charging through the storm, his spear raised. David moved fast, grabbing a broken metal bar, blocking the strike with desperate strength. Sparks flew, the clash echoing through the ruins. Lyra cried out, her power exploding in a wave. The hunters thrown back, the leader forced to his knees, cracks of light racing across his armor. But she collapsed to the floor, gasping, her energy drained, her body trembling. David dropped beside her, pulling her close. "You did it, you controlled it." Tears ran down her cheeks. Glowing faintly, "I trusted you, and it didn't break me." The hunters pulled back, regrouping, their leader shouting orders. The battle was not over, but for the first time, Lyra felt something strange in her heart. Not fear, but hope. She whispered almost to herself. "Maybe I am not a monster." David smiled, even as the chamber shook with the sound of more enemies closing in. "You never were." The shadows thickened, the hunters closing all exits, their red eyes glowing through the smoke. But Lyra's hand gripped David's, her power humming again, not wild this time, but steady. The test of trust had begun, and together, they would face the storm. The smile in the storm. The chamber shook as more hunters poured in through the broken walls, their glowing red eyes cutting through the smoke. Machines screeched as they crawled along the ceilings, claws scraping stone. David stood tall, a broken metal bar still in his hand, his chest rising and falling fast, but his eyes calm, unshaken. Lyra beside him, scars glowing like fire, her hand trembling but locked with his. The hunter leader raised his spear, voice cold as steel. "The subject is ours, human. Step aside and you will be spared." David's lips curved in that same small smile that had carried them through the ruins. "You still don't understand. She's not your subject, and I'm not stepping aside." Lyra's heart twisted at those words, her breath uneven. No one had ever stood for her before. No one had ever chosen her over their own safety. The hunters charged, the chamber filled with the roar of engines and the hiss of energy weapons. Blasts tore through the stone, sparks and dust filling the air. David pulled Lyra behind a fallen pillar, the blast shaking the ground. He whispered fast, "Listen to me. You don't need to fight them alone. We fight together." Her eyes widened, fear and fire mixing. "Together? I'll burn you alive if I lose control. Then I'll burn with you." he said without hesitation. Because I'd rather stand with you than live without trying. His words struck deeper than any wound. Her chest ached, her scars flared, but this time the energy pulsed steady, like a heartbeat, not chaos, not fear. The hunters stormed closer. Their weapons glowing, David rushed forward, swinging the metal bar, striking one soldier across the mask. Sparks flew, the machine staggered. But another lunged, spear raised, Lyra's power burst. A wave of light slamming the attacker against the wall. Stone cracked, dust rained, the enemy crushed, her body shook. But David's voice anchored her. Good, Lyra, you control it, not them. The leader roared, charging through the smoke. His spear burning brighter, he swung at David, sparks exploding as the metal bar barely held. The force threw David back, his arm bleeding. David! Lyra cried, her scars blazing, her claws sparking with power. The leader sneered behind his mask. See? She breaks everything she touches, even you, human. David coughed, struggling to his feet, but he smiled again, blood on his lips. Wrong, she saves! Lyra screamed, her power erupting like a storm. Energy waves bursting out, the chamber flooding with light. Hunters thrown like rag dolls, machines shattering against stone. The leader staggered but pushed forward, his armor cracking. David forced himself up, limping, his hand resting on Lyra's shoulder. You're not alone. Finish this with me, together. They faced the leader, David striking with desperate strength. Lyra unleashing a surge of pure energy through her glowing scars. The storm of human courage and alien power collided. The leader roared as his spear shattered, his armor splitting, light burning through his frame, then silence as he fell, broken, his red eyes fading into black. The remaining hunters froze, their leader gone, the storm too much. They retreated into the tunnels. Shadows swallowed them, leaving only ruins, smoke, and silence. Lyra fell to her knees, shaking, her body weak, her scars dimming. I almost lost myself, she whispered, tears falling. I told you, don't call me beautiful. I am a monster. David knelt beside her, his own body battered, blood staining his clothes, but his smile still there, soft and unbroken. Then I'll stand with the monster who saved my life. She looked at him through tears, his face calm, his smile steady even in pain. And for the first time the word monster felt different, not curse, not shame, but something human could touch with kindness. The chamber around them crumbled, stone falling, but in that fragile moment, Lyra whispered, maybe I am not what they made me. David squeezed her hand, his voice gentle. You never were. The ceiling cracked. Moonlight spilled through the ruins above, shining on them, broken but unbowed, a human and the girl once called a monster, smiling in the storm they had survived together. And though the galaxy outside would still call her weapon, still call her cursed in that night, in that ruin, she carried something stronger than fear. Stronger than scars, she carried his smile.